All right. Good morning, guys. So, in our last session, we have discussed how to launch our first EC2 instance. So, you guys got any chance to perform this task?
Yes,
Okay, I hope you guys don't face any much difficulty while performing this task.
yeah, I have performed the task. I am able to create new user and I have signed in, logged into both users
Mhm.
remotely. I have one doubt. Uh, for the original admin user, default admin user, I have pasted two files in desktop.
Okay.
After that, I created a new user,
Mhm.
and okay, this user don't have access to those files.
Yes, of course. See, even if you take like, Windows 7 or Windows 10, within this machine, you are going to have users here, right? So
Yeah,
if I have any other user for public places, yes, everybody will get access. But this this user's home directory, these are specific to this particular Avinash Reddy user only. If I create any other user, if I go to desktop, we won't find all these files. So
yeah.
desktop is a folder that's specific to a particular user. So yes, you won't get access to that.
Hey, I have one doubt. Actually, we already have a OS, right?
Yeah.
In that OS, we are creating a separate user.
Yes.
Actually, how it works means we are not. Will there be any partition or what?
No partition, nothing. See, we are allowing multiple users to use this operating system.
Okay,
So we are nowhere changing the hardware, nowhere changing anything at OS level.
okay,
Just like, if you go to control panel, so here, this operating system, for example, you are using and your brother is using same laptop.
yes,
So you no need to continue with the administrator user. So what you can do, you can create a user account for yourself and create another user account for your brother. So
okay,
here, manage another account, add a new account, you have an option. See, adding new user in this PC.
yes,
So for this particular operating system only, you're adding another user. Just to like, for example, in future, we are going to come to a concept called jump server.
okay,
So jump server is a server, all 100 users will connect first. Whenever
okay.
you connect to the jump server, then only you can connect to AWS EC2 instances. So to understand that concept, I have given this task now. So by defaultly, only two users can connect. If you want to connect more than two users, you need to purchase terminal license from Microsoft. Then you need to apply that license, then only multiple users can connect. And if you want to see who all are the users connected at moment, go to task manager. Whenever you go to users, there it shows, okay, at moment, along with administrator, any other user got connected, it shows all the user information here. So in jump server concept, we are going to use this mechanism.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions, guys? All right. So then here in today's session, we are going to discuss how to launch a Linux EC2 instance. So I hope everybody registered to the Linux course which I shared. If not, I'll share that today. So please spare some time and go and register yourself. You can go through that Linux course at any moment. As you know, now how to get connected to the Linux instance, right? So the process is going to be same, but selecting operating system is going to be different. Opening the required port is going to be different. Apart from these two, remaining all options are same. Another different thing is how to get connected to it. That is another different part. So in our last session, we have used remote desktop connection application to get connected to our Windows instances. Now we are going to use different tools like a putty we can use, and we can use like a mobile xterm, we can use git, we can use even our local command prompt also to get connected to our EC2 instances. Multiple options are there. So why multiple options? As it is an open source one. Many open source supported applications also developed for Linux. But for Windows, it's not like that. Windows is owned by Microsoft, so they have an official tool. Get connected. That tool is remote desktop connection tool. Right. So if you recall that step one, choose an AMI. And in our last session, we selected Windows, but this time we are going to select Linux. So in Linux, we have different flavors. We have different distributions. We have Debian distribution, we have Fedora distribution, right? So when coming to this, so I explained this boot process, all those things in our Linux course. You can go through that whenever you have some time. So Amazon have its own operating system called Amazon Linux. Most of the time we prefer to go with that. Why? Because we are going to get free support from Amazon, 5 years support on operating system, always. So Amazon will keep on monitoring the vulnerabilities and security practices, right? So they keep on release the patches and all. So that's why many guys will prefer to go with that. If you familiar with the Ubuntu or SUSE Linux or like Red Hat, of course, those also comes under free tier eligibility. The process is going to be the same. So you can definitely give a try. Otherwise, yes, throughout this course, I'm going to use Amazon Linux. So basically that comes under Fedora family. That means whatever the command you execute in CentOS operating system, whatever the command you execute in Red Hat operating system, RHEL, same commands you can use with this Amazon Linux. And recently Amazon released version 2 also, Amazon Linux 2. So you can use same commands as your CentOS operating system and Red Hat. So basically, Linux is an open source. Open source means anyone can take the source code back and how, and we can change how the programming is working. We can change the features. We can use it for any purpose, whether you are using it for commercial purpose or educational purpose. Regardless of that, we can use for any purpose, right? So no one is going to sue us. No one is going to raise any legal complaints and all. So what Amazon did, Amazon taken that Fedora distribution code, they have taken CentOS code and they have modified with something like the security point of view, the commands execution point of view, they have modified it, right? So we are going to use it. So step two, as you are aware, like choose an instance. So we have different instance types. So again, go and select T2 micro only and choose T2 micro only. Step three, so here additional configurations. When coming to additional configurations, don't select any other options, like just go with the default option. If you want to test it, you can do one thing, that shutdown behavior. I'm going to like stop this. I'm going to initiate stop operation whenever we initiate shutdown option from operating system level. So then termination protection, accidental termination protection, I'm going to enable this feature. So then remaining all, just go with the defaults and choose the storage, go with the default here. And for Linux, we required minimum of 8 gigs for Amazon Linux. For Windows, minimum 30 gigs. But for Linux, minimum 8 GB is okay. So just provision 8 GB. However, tomorrow we are going to deep dive into the storage option. What is storage? How exactly we can increase the storage of an existing volume? How to make it available at OS level and all. Those all we will discuss in our tomorrow session. Step five. So add tags. So based on your for what application you are using, for what project you are using, what cost center ID you want to give, what platform tag you want to give. So add the tags, then configure the security group. So when coming to configuring the security group, as it is a Linux operating system, port number 22 must be open, and we are going to use SSH and open it for everyone at moment. Okay, so today we will go in detail about the security groups, right? So now step 7, review and create a key pair and launch instance, right? So when coming to this Linux connect process, so how to connect to Linux instance? See, we have multiple options, guys. So some guys prefer to use putty, some guys prefer to use git bash terminal, git terminal, and someone prefer to Windows command prompt. So if you want to use this putty, see these applications supports PEM file. See, whenever you are creating a key pair, what format of file we are going to get? .pem file, right? So this git we can use .pem file. With this Windows also we can use .pem file, but this putty won't support PEM file. So what we need to do? We need to convert this PEM file to PPK file. So putty won't support .pem file. So what we need to do? We need to use .ppk file. We have two options. Either convert PEM to PPK, or else before launching an EC2 instance itself, create a PPK file and use it. We have two options. So before launching an EC2 instance, create a PPK file and use it. Where you can create this PPK file? Under key pairs option, we can create this. This is one option. Second option is if you already launched an EC2 instance by using like a PEM file, you forgot to add .ppk and all. Of course, we do have an option that using PuttyZen application. This is an application using PuttyZen, convert the PEM to PPK and start using it. Okay. So again, it depends on your comfort, guys. Which method you're using, that doesn't matter. No one is going to ask you. Not only here, even in corporate also, in your environment also, no one is going to ask you. If you are trying to access by using command prompt, they won't ask you, okay, why you are using this method and all. These three or these standard methods, you can go with these mechanisms without any issues. And all the three mechanisms works in your enterprise organization also, enterprise network also. Okay. So now let's see how to launch and how to get connected. I'll show you all the three options. Right. So see here I told you one thing. Before launching an EC2 instance, if you want to use this, create a PPK file. So for that, navigate to EC2. Here we have an option called key pairs. Click on the key pairs. We already have a key pair. Now you want to create a key pair. Click on create key pair. What is the key pair name you want to give? So the name, my putty key. So then what is a file format you are looking? So if you are selecting PEM, you can use it with OpenSSH and all. That means these two applications works with the OpenSSH mechanism. If you want to use it with the putty, then select this .ppk file. So I'm selecting .ppk, then click on create key pair. So now I got this PPK file. So the advantage is you no need to convert that key pairs like you no need to convert that PEM to PPK and all. Simply while launching in final step, we can choose this key pair. That's it. And sometimes you generated a key pair in your local machine and you want to upload your own key pair to AWS. In that case, navigate to actions, import key pair. So we have an option SSH keygen. We have an option called SSH keygen. So whenever you are using this SSH keygen, you can create your own key pairs, right? So then that key pair basically we are going to get in .pub format. So that format need to be converted .pem and you need to give the public key content. Yesterday I told you we are going to give public key to AWS and private key we are going to hold. So whenever you are using this SSH keygen, so we are going to get an option like, whenever you are using SSH keygen, when you gave this command, generating public or private RSA key pair, so it got stored here, right? So you can go to that location. So do you want to give any password for that? You can just click on enter and all. So then it is going to create a key pair. So here you can go to SSH keygen. What is a key pair? What is permissions you want to give and all? You can give it. So you can copy this SSH copy ID to where you want to copy, to what server you want to copy. That you can do later on. But before copying to server, you can simply upload it here. That is a mechanism. So import keeper option also is there. That is one thing. And now let's launch a Amazon Linux EC2 instance. Click on launch instance and make sure you select free tier only. So then here you have an option Amazon Linux 2 AMI. I'm going to select Amazon Linux 2 AMI. If you want to launch RHEL, go here, choose RHEL. Red Hat Enterprise Linux RHEL means. SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, Fedora also you can find. Again, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu. So Amazon Linux 2 with .NET Core, PowerShell and all. So I'm going with the first one, Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Select that. Second option, choose an instance type. So only one instant type comes under free tier eligibility, that is T2 micro. Go and select the T2 micro. So then how many instances you require with similar configuration and all, then you can give the count, just go with the one. And shutdown behavior, I want to go with the stop and enable termination protection, protect against accidental termination. So I have enabled this option. Then click on next. 8 gigs, leave it blank, leave it as it is or default. So then tags, so Linux instance. So then you can give platform as a Linux and what is the cost center ID and all, you can give all those. So now I'm going to create a new security group. See, for Windows instances, we create Windows security group. And for Linux instance, I'm going to create Linux SG. Or else yesterday we created AWS 7.3, that's a key pair name, right? So Linux SG, if you want to choose an existing, see here, Windows SG we created last session. Yesterday we created this. Now I'm going to create a new security group, Linux SG. And as it is a Linux operating system, port number 22 is opening automatically. Automatically port number 22 is coming and it is open for everyone. So we are good with that. So otherwise you can go here, select anywhere. So then click on review. This is a review screen and click on launch. So now, yesterday we generated a key pair that is AWS730kp.pem file. So I have access to it. So I can go with that file. That is a PEM file. Otherwise, I can simply go and I can simply select my putty key. So this is a PPK file. So this option we did now. So see here, while launching, is it showing that PEM file or not, that PPK file or not? Okay. So, but here the worst part is it won't show the file, extension, whether it is a .ppk or .pem. So Amazon need to work on that. If it is a PPK, it should show .ppk and all. So I'm like, I'll show you how to use this, but I even want to show you how to convert that PEM to PPK, right? So I'm selecting AWS730kp.pem file. I acknowledge that I have access to that given key pair, then click on launch instance. Now, a file, an instance is provisioned and it's in pending state. It's in pending state. So now we associated a .pem file to the EC2 instance. As a last option, I'll show you this. First, let's go and look into this. So if you want to use this, first of all, you need to have Git in your machine. If you are using Mac OS or any of the Linux operating system, you can use your terminal. So Mac OS or any of the Linux flavor. So open terminal, then whatever the process we are going to use, then you can use it. So how we are using this bash, and similarly you open your terminal. How we are opening your command prompt, similarly you open this terminal, then you can use that. Right. So now just look for a website, Git for Windows. So this is the official website, git-scm.com. Go here. This is a web page. Navigate to this page and download Git for Windows and install it. Either it is 64-bit or 32-bit. Install it. So once you install this Git in your local machine, whenever you give right click, you will get this option, Git GUI here or Git bash here. So now I'm here under where exactly my key pairs are there. I'm in that location, giving a right click, click on Git bash here. Click on Git bash here. So now a Git terminal is going to open. This is a Git terminal. So one thing you always need to take care that from where you're trying to connect in that location, your key pair must be exist. To verify that, give ls command. See here, I have associated this key pair to my EC2 instance. So that key pair is in my current working directory. So it's in aws730kp.pem, right? So now I have. So if ls is not working, give dir command. Whenever you give dir command, it should show the file. Okay. So now give a command ssh -i, then what key pair you have associated to your EC2 instance. AWS730C. I'm not typing everything. I'm using tab option. I'm giving first letter, then pressing tab. It got filled automatically. Then gap space, then EC2-user @ So this is a default username. So the syntax for all these three is ssh-i, then we need to give keypair.pem. See this keypair name, whatever keypair you have given, that keypair.pem, then space username @ public IP or public DNS. Just go with the public IP address at moment. So EC2-user is a default username. So in our case, ssh-i aws730kp.pem is a key pair. EC2-user is a default username. Then give the public IP address. So here is the public IP address we need to give. So give that public IP address here. Now click on enter. So, okay, it is waiting for a little authentication. Just give yes, type yes here. Then we are going to get connected. See, if I want to come out from this instance, I can give exit. See, when I gave exit, if I'm giving a command, who am I? As a what user you are working? So you're working as a Avinash Reddy user. Right. So now after connecting to our EC2 instance, see, I'm giving same command ssh-i key pair EC2-user public IP address. I got connected. After connecting, if I am giving who am I, you're working as a EC2-user. See that? So we got connected to that EC2 instance. So this is one process, and one common issue you are going to face whenever you are using any of these option. That is, permissions are too open. Common issue while connecting, that permissions are too open or permissions are open for everyone. So you might get this issue. Whenever you're facing that issue, you need to do one thing: execute a command called chmod 400, then give your key pair dot pam. Whatever the key pair name you have given, give that. So chmod, basically it is going to modify the permissions of that key pair. See, for example, we have a file. Whenever we go to property, see, if these permissions are too open, for example, everyone permission is not there, but if you added everyone permission and everyone have like all access on this key pair. So in that case, this system won't allow to get connect. In that case, just give chmod. So only current user is going to have read permission, no permission for any other groups, no permission for any other users. That is what chmod 400 means. So go and get chmod 400 keypair.pem. So this is one of the common issue you might face. Okay. So here only you can give like, chmod 400. What is a key pair? AWS 730kp.pem. It got executed. So then get connected to it. Again to connect, same command, right? We got connected to it. So this is the Git option. The only thing you need to do is where exactly you have key pair in the same location, go here, take this git bash here. That is the only thing you need to do. Okay. So when coming to this Windows command prompt, there also command is going to be same, but you need to install or enable OpenSSH in Windows 10. We are using Windows 10 operating system. Enable OpenSSH. If you don't enable this feature, the command is not going to work. See, I'm opening a command prompt, Windows R, then CMD, command prompt got opened. Now, if you are trying to give SSH as a command, see, in my case, SSH is already there. That's why I'm giving this. So in your case, whenever you give SSH, it is going to tell you SSH is not recognized an internal or external command, operable program or batch file, right? So then it's not detecting SSH as a command. So what you need to do, enable OpenSSH. For that, go to settings of your Windows 10 operating system, go to apps. Where is that? Go to apps. Here you can find. So then we have an option called optional features. Apps and features is here. Optional features. Go to optional features. Whenever you navigate to optional features, so there you can find OpenSSH. So the process is go to settings, apps, optional features, enable OpenSSH. So here, whenever you scroll down bit, you can find OpenSSH client. See here, go and install this. OpenSSH based secure shell client for secure key management and access to remote machines. So our requirement is access to remote machines. So install this. Once you install, just reboot your machine. Whenever you install for the first time, reboot this and then execute this command. So here again, I'm in this Avinash Reddy location. Do I have a key pair in this location? No. So what we need to do, we need to get CD and we need to go to that particular location. Otherwise, how exactly we are opening this Git right in that from that particular location. So go to where exactly you have the key pair. There, click on this link, give CMD. Click on enter. So now that path got opened. So now give dir, you can find, okay, see this AWS 730kp.pem is there. So now give CLS, clear the screen. The command to get connected to our instance is ssh-i AWS730kp.pem ec2-user grab your instance public IP address, give that here, click on enter. So then there you can see we got connected to this instance. So to verify, you can get who am I without any spaces. So you are working as a ec2-user. So this is a process to use Windows command prompt. All right. So same process. If you're using Mac OS or any of the Linux operating system, go to where exactly you have key pair, give right click, open in terminal. You are going to have an option called open in terminal. So click on that. Your terminal is going to open with that particular location. So there execute this command. Again, if you are getting permissions are to open, make sure you use chmod 400. Anywhere with any option you are using, if permissions are to open, give chmod 400. All right. So that is another option. So any questions on these options now? See, this thing I already told you. You are comfortable only. Which one you are going to use? That's purely you are comfortable. There is no. I'm not going to compare anything among these three. There is no advantage with git bash or no command prompt, nothing. The mechanism is going to be same, no advantage. These are the standard procedure we follow.
Avinash,
Yes, please.
why we are enabling shutdown behavior to stop?
You can even give to terminate.
Means, what happens when we give to stop and what happens when we set to terminate?
Okay, so what exactly happened in our last session also, yesterday what I did, I have given shutdown behavior as a stop. So if I initiate shutdown option from operating system level, the instance
Okay.
is going to stop here. If you are giving terminate, it's going to terminate. It's delayed
If you give
completely.
terminate, okay, then it is completely.
Yeah, I'll show you that today also.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Right. So this is a second option. And when coming to this putty, so this one we see we already have the ppk file, so you can use that. Right, but we haven't associated. So what I did for my Linux EC2 instance, I have given a PEM file. So that PEM is not supported. So we need to convert that PEM to PPK by using puttyzen. So first of all, go to putty.org, and download this putty as well as puttyzen. So you can download putty, click on this link here. So now we are into download putty page. So I'm going to share this link here. Under putty only, I'm going to give this path. This is a path. Go to this website and download putty as well as puttyzen. In your case, what you can do, if it is your personal machine, download this and install it. Whenever you are installing this .msi file, all the application will come automatically. Otherwise, you don't want to install anything, just double click and run it. Is if it is okay for you, so then you can use this alternative binary files. So go here, click on putty.exe. Click on that, automatically it downloads. Then scroll down bit, you can find puttyzen.exe. Click on that 64-bit also. So download putty.exe, puttyzen.exe. Downloaded both, and I have copied both into this key pairs folder. Here is my putty and here is my puttyzen. Okay, so let me try to use PEM file and let's see what error it might give. So I'm opening putty.exe application, and here what is the host name? Host name is nothing but our instance public IP address. Give that here. Now, if you are just giving a public IP address and port number, whenever you are trying to click on open, see security alert, give yes, and our putty application is able to hit this server, then it is asking login as ec2-user. Click on enter. See, we are getting an error, putty fatal error. No supported authentication method. So we haven't browsed any key pair. We are trying to get connected. So let's browse that key pair now. I'm opening putty.exe again. I'm giving the server public IP address. And see here, we are using this putty for SSH purpose. Port number 22, we are going to use to get connected to this instance. Now, under connection, expand SSH, select authentication. Under connection, expand SSH, we have an option called auth, select that auth option. Here you need to browse your private key file for authentication. So we are authenticating against to AWS by using this particular file. So whenever we click on browse, so where exactly you have stored all your key pairs and all, my key pairs is in this location, key pairs. See, it is showing only ppk file, but I associated pem file to the EC2 instance. So the reason is, see here, it is listing only ppk files. Go and select all the files. And now AWS 730kp.pem, we are able to see whenever we set this to all files, select that key pair, click on open, then click on open. Okay, it is giving different error this time. See, unable to open, use the key file. Why? This putty won't support ppk file. Unable to use the key file. Why? Because it is a pm file. Putty won't support pem file. So let's try to give a try again. Whenever you're trying to see this time, no support authentication methods available, servers and public key. Again, putty fatal error. If you are getting this error, verify whether you are giving PEM file, or verify you are not browsing any PEM file or you are giving wrong PEM file. So if you are giving wrong PEM file, so let me show you that one also. I'm opening this putty.exe, given the public IP address, under connection expanding SSH, authentication, browsing a wrong PPK file or wrong PEM file. Login as EC2-user. See, again putty fatal error, and but here it shows server refused our key. The reason is you're trying to browse wrong key, which is not associated to the EC2 instance. So that is another option, right? Another error we might get. So now let's use this putty zen to convert this PEM to PPK. All right. So let's open this putty zen.exe. So this generate is to generate a new pair of keys. So we already have a private key. That private key is not supporting, the file format is not supported. So we just want to convert that PEM to PPK. So no need to go with this generate option. So click on load. Click on load. We already have PEM file. Browse the PEM file. Again, it is showing only PPK. We are not able to see the PEM file. So in that case, click here, select all files. Select your PEM file, aws730kp.pem, select it. So it is successfully imported. So now we need to save the private key. So basically it automatically picks up public key information from that key pair and all. So now click on save private key. So if you want to give any password for that private key, you can give the password, like you need to give 123 or any other thing, you can give it here. So otherwise, whenever you want to use that, you need to give this password. Additional layer security. So I'm leaving it blank. So then save private key. Again, don't save it as a public key. Public key we don't require. We required only private key. That too, the PEM should be converted as a PPK, or that save private key. It is giving a little warning. You're not giving any passphrase to protect it. Do you want to continue? Of course, yes. Given yes. What is the name you want to give? Give a sensible name, just like PEM file. I'm removing that PEM, so giving same name. And so far I have 6 files in this location. And now I'm going to save immediately. I got another file, 7 files. See, 7 files now. AWS730kp.ppk file is there. So now let's use this ppk file to get connected to this instance. Now I'm opening putty.exe. Given the public IP address, under connection, expand SSH, select authentication, click on browse. This time I'm going to browse a valid PPK file, click on open. Then click on open. Login as the default username is EC2-user. Click on enter, and there we got connected to our EC2 instance. So this is a process if you want to use Putty application. So the path is, so under connections, select what is that? Under connection, select SSH, expand SSH, select auth, and browse the valid.ppk file. This is another option, right? So this is the Putty mechanism. So I hope all these options are clear. So any questions on this? Yes, all these are free. All right. So if you observe, whenever our instance is launching, see we have another option also. If you want to get connected, but at enterprise level, that feature won't be available. If you want to, I can show you that. So select your EC2 instance, click on connect. Whenever you click on connect, we have an option like EC2 instance connect, session manager. Session manager we'll discuss later. Why? Because it involved with the concept called role. SSH client, the one we are using, chmod 400, the necessary permissions are coming. Then copy this command. You can copy this command and you can give it. So then you can get connected to it. Session manager, we need to have an agent and all that we will discuss later, not now. EC2 instance connect option is there. Whenever you click on that, so it is going to give like instance ID, public IP address, default username. So whenever you click on connect, so automatically another window opens, and here we got connected to this Linux instance. But as I'm mentioning, this feature works whenever you have only public IP address. So there is no guarantee that your organization is going to allocate a public IP address for your web servers. So that's why I don't want you to go through these options. So, but we still have an option that you can just go here and you can use it, right? So for that, select your instance, click on connect, instance connect, give the default username, click on connect. Within the browser itself, you can. Without these applications also, you can connect. But that's not a standard procedure we follow. Okay, adding PEM file will be one-time activity. So if you want to get connected to your EC2 instance, you always need to use this PEM file for Linux. See, again, if I want to get connected to my EC2 instance, again, I need to execute this and I need to have PEM file in this location. So it's just not one-time activity. Whenever you want to get connected to your Linux instance, you must have that PEM file. Then only you can get connected to it. All right. So now let's try to um, understand these status checks. So when coming to status checks, so basically we have two types of status checks. One is system status check. Second one is instance status check. So whenever we are launching an EC2 instance, AWS verify the health status of the EC2 instance and underlying hardware. So if any issues if no issues are there, 2 by 2 it is going to show. If you observe 2 by 2 checks passed. So total 2 checks, 2 passed. And if you want to, like, if you are facing any issues, so here it is going to show in red color 1 by 2 or 0 by 2 status checks. So when coming to these status checks, one is at hardware level issues. Hardware level issues. If any hardware issues occurs, the system status check is going to fail. And OS level issues occurs, so then this instance status check is going to fail. What is the fix for this? When coming to system status check, stop and start the instance. Stop and start EC2 instance will fix the system status check. So whenever we are stopping an EC2 instance, so what happens? That instance is going to um, will be moved its status to stopped state. Whenever you are trying to start that EC2 instance, while starting, it is going to verify, okay, whether this hardware is healthy or not. If the hardware is not healthy, it will launch, that EC2 instance will launch in another healthy hardware. So stop and start EC2 instance will work for us. That's why whenever you perform stop and start, this public IP address is going to change. See, now this is what our public IP address, right? If I stop instance and if I start, this is going to change. There is no guarantee for the same public IP address. That is also one of the reason for that. But of course, we can have same that we will discuss tomorrow. So instance status check. This is OS level issues. As you know, the first option is reboot the instance. Reboot the instance whenever instance status check. If that also not, verify system log, verify system logs, what exactly causing that issue. Where we can find the system log. Select your EC2 instance, go to actions, monitoring and troubleshooting, get system log. Click on that. So here it shows that EC2 instance system logs and all, what exactly happening and all, right? So you can copy all the logs and you can inspect that, or you can even download that logs also. So that is another option. So you can verify logs and we can fix it. So 99% of the times, stop and start works for us. See, we are nowhere near to the physical layer. We cannot inspect what exactly happened and all. So if stop and start is not working, so you can report instance status. So click on report instance status. What is the problem? Passport not available, instance experience performance problems, that you think that something related to network in the data center, and volumes issue, instance store issue, experiencing performance problem and system is not accepting your credentials. My instance is struck in a state like, my instance is unresponsive. You can use this. Right. So if you are a enterprise support plan or business or developer, you can even contact the AWS also. For basic support plan, you need to contact developer forum. There, one of the engineer will inspect that and he will answer that. So those are the two status checks we have. And most of the time, start and stop will work for us. The mechanism, while instance is starting, it will look whether the underlying hardware is healthy or not. If it is healthy, then only it allows us to log in, launch the instance. Right. So when coming to SysApp certification exam, this concept is important. System status check and instance status check. You can expect one question in SysApp certification exam. Right. So now I want to show you one option that like here we can have a fixed public IP address to this EC2 instance. See, now what I'm doing, this is what the current public IP address. I'll do one thing. I'll make it as a web server quickly. Don't worry about that, what I'm doing. All right. So now this EC2 instance becomes as a web server, but the port number is not open. We must open the port number to deliver that. HTTP port number must be open. At moment I'm opening for everyone. Don't worry about this. Right. So I have an EC2 instance. That EC2 instance is a web server. See, that EC2 instance is a web server. So now, so what you did, you have made your EC2 instance as a web server, and also you shared that web page URL to everyone, and at moment they are able to access your web page. Fine. So what you did, you have stopped this EC2 instance. Here is a stop instance option. Click on stop instance. I'm stopping this EC2 instance. So whenever you stop instance, all connections got terminated. See here, connection got terminated, and here also connection is going to terminate. So now instance move to, first it went to stopping state, then it goes to stopped state. All right, so now my instance is in stopped state. So whenever you observe, whenever your instance is in stopped state, if you observe, there is no public IPv4. There is no public IP address. So now the website also down. Why? Because your instance is in stopped state. So that's why you don't get that. So now I'm going to start the instance. Here is a start instance. Click on start instance. So whenever we are starting, first it comes to pending state, then it comes to running state. See, now my instance came to running state. So earlier, this is a public IP address. See, my instance came to running state. If I'm trying to access that web page, is it loading anything? Even if you give some time also, it won't deliver anything. Why? Because this public IP address got changed. So you can pick the new public IP address. You can access the web page. See, this is not working anymore. We got a new public IP address. This is working now. So for example, if you stop 10 times, 10 times you are going to get a new public IP address. 10 times we are going to get a new public IP address. So that's why in organizations, if the server is important to you and you want to have a fixed public IP address for that EC2 instance, we depends on an option called elastic IP address. So in simple, we call it as a EIP, elastic IP. So you can generate one elastic IP and you can associate that elastic IP to your EC2 instance. So elastic IP, AWS EIP pricing, see, understanding elastic IP address charges. So an elastic IP address doesn't incur charges as long as follow conditions are true. If the instance has only one elastic IP address associated to it, it is not going to get charged anything. Okay. So if you are generating multiple elastic IP addresses, then you will get charged for it, right? So if you want to, you can go through this and you can try to understand the pricing mechanism, in what case it is going to, right? So now we want to generate an elastic IP address and we want to associate to this EC2 instance. For that, navigate to EC2 dashboard. See, at moment, this is what our IP address. Now navigate to EC2 dashboard. Here is the elastic IPs. Allocate elastic IP address. So Amazon pool of IPv4, of course, we can upload even our pool of IP addresses also, but we need to purchase from third party uh, ISP internet service provider. Then we need to give that pool of IP address to AWS. Then we can use that. That mostly we won't prefer to go with that. Then click on allocate. So now what happened? One elastic IP address got generated and it is available in my AWS account. So I can associate this elastic IP address to any of the resource, but one resource at a time. Okay. So now we can go to this actions. See, release elastic IP address means once you're done with your requirement, you are kicking out from your AWS account. Associate elastic IP address. So click on that associate elastic IP address. Where do you want to associate? I want to associate to an EC2 instance. Go here, click on the instance. Okay, I have one EC2 instance. I'm going to select it. So then if you want to give a private IP address, you can even give that or else leave it blank. Then click on associate. Okay, so now what happened? This elastic IP address is associated to our EC2 instance. Whenever we go here, whenever we give refresh, see this public IP address is changed. If you go here, if you give a refresh, this web page is gone now. But we got a new public IP address. Copy that, give that here, click on enter. See this? For the elastic IP address, we are getting the web page. Now, how to know that elastic IP address and all? Simple. Whenever you go to this networking, see when you go to these all settings here, you can find like elastic IP addresses. Give a refresh. It should show here. See, elastic IP address is associated under this elastic IP addresses. So now forget about that. So we have a public IP address. Earlier, whenever we stopped our EC2 instance, what happened? This public IP address field is erased and we got a new public IP address. Now I'm going to perform stop. Click on stop. It is stopping. So can we have multiple public IP address for an EC2 instance? Of course, yes, we can have. See, my instance is in stopped state and this public IP address is still available, but this website is no, it's down as instance is in stopped state. See, it's trying to load, it's trying to load it. Generally, it won't take that much time. Whenever we are starting this EC2 instance, see, there is no change in the public IP address. Once instance got started, we will get this web page. So if you need a fixed public IP address for your EC2 instance, you can use this elastic IP address, right? So another thing, I want to deliver, like, I want to have multiple IP address for my EC2 instance. See, whenever you release, what happened immediately, you are going to get another one. See, I'm selecting this elastic IP address, navigating to actions, disassociate elastic IP address. See, if it is already in associated state, if you're trying to associate, like, it will release from there and it will associate to another resource. At a time, we cannot associate to multiple. So click on disassociate elastic IP address, disassociate. Now, immediately what happened as we disassociated, we got a new public IP address again. This one is not going to work anymore, but we got a new one. This new one is going to deliver the web page. Okay. So now, if you want to associate multiple NIC cards, see basically what is NIC card? NIC card stands for NIC stands for Network Interface Card. So For servers, we are not just going to have only one NIC card, we are going to have multiple NIC cards. So you can create another NIC card, network interface card from this screen, and you can associate, and OS level also it will be reflect, and how to use that and all we will discuss in our next session. At moment I'm going to release this elastic IP address. So in only very rare cases we use this elastic IP address, not like very much. So if you are giving one more than one elastic IP address to an EC2 instance, we are going to get charged hourly basis. By end of the month, you are going to get charged $3.5 for one elastic IP address. Even if you generate and if you keep it idle, also you are going to get charged for that. If you don't, if you are not using but you generated and you kept it idle state, for that also you will get charged. So please don't, my personal suggestion, please don't generate an elastic IP address. You know the mechanism, right? If you need a fixed IP address, we can use elastic IP address, nothing more than that, right? So if you got that mechanism, just go with that. So my personal suggestion, don't. When coming to free tier eligibility, before closing the session, so volume thing I'm not going to cover now. So generally, we are going to get 750 hours per month with T2 micro Windows instance. Similarly, 750 hours per month with T2 micro Linux instance. So that means you can run one Linux instance for one entire month. You can run one Windows instance for one entire month. So the mechanism, how it works, So if you're using only one instance, so maximum 31 days and 24 hours, right? So one instance, if you are continuously running 744 hours, you are going to consume. You still have 6 hours left and you're not going to get charged anything. But for example, what you did, you took two instances and you're running continuously. So for example, you run continuously for 16 days, 24 hours, then you are going to consume 750 plus hours. Remaining 14 days or 15 days, see, you used that 750 hours within 16 days itself. So then remaining 15 days, yes, you will get charged for that. So my suggestion, practice with only one Windows instance and one Linux instance. At a time, you can have one Windows and one Linux. Yeah, you're good with that. No issue. So make sure you terminate your EC2 instance. See, we are not going to run any critical workload here. We are here to explore the AWS and we want to get familiar with the options, the features and options more. So practice, terminate your instance, then again launch your EC2 instance whenever you want to practice. So get familiar with those options. So that is a free tier limitation. And there is another thing that we can have 20 running instances at a time. Again, there is a service quota option. Couple of days back, I've even shown you that service quotas. Go to service quotas, and sometimes based on your usage, you are going to get. When coming to EC2, so here, if you are using P spot instances, X spot instances, how many? So how many running EC2 instances you can have, those all you can find it here, right? See, on demand F type of EC2 instances. How many? 64 applied quota value, right? So similarly, you can go here, you can find how many attachment to VPC, that we will talk later, basically VPC point of view and all. So how many VPC elastic IPs? 5 we can elastic IP address we can generate. Can we increase it? Adjustable? Yes. By defaultly, you can generate only 5 elastic IP addresses, not more than that. So you can. So there is a limit that you can have you can have 20 running instances at a time. So if you want to increase that, yes, raise a ticket and AWS is going to increase. You can have 40 in stopped state, but at a time 20 will be in running state. That is the limit. And if you observe running on demand standard instances, 2160 is the applied quota limit for all these types and all. And this is AWS default quota value 5. Is it adjustable? Yes. So many options here, and by default you can have 20 reserved instance. You can increase that. So you can find this under service quotas, right? So if you generate an elastic IP address, make sure you delete that and make sure you terminate your EC2 instance once you're done with the lab. Again, termination protection is enabled. So I'm going to disable the termination protection, change termination protection, save, and I'm going to terminate this instance. Right. So for today, the task is pretty straightforward. Launch a Linux instance. Basically, get familiar with how to launch and how to get connected to the Linux instance. That is a task for today. So any questions before closing the session, guys?
Uh, yes, Avinash, I have one question, right? So when you detach that elastic IP, right? So what was the reason that the public IP got changed, even though the instance did not get restart?
Yes, basically,
I mean, I was expecting that I would get the same IP which I was using earlier because my instance did not get started.
no. So that's why I explained that feature, right? That's why AWS also introduced elastic IP address. So basically, whenever you are, whenever you performing stop and start EC2 instance, what happened? That EC2 instance will come out from the running hardware.
Yes.
So whenever you're starting, it will come to a new hardware. It look for a healthy hardware and it will place there. So as it is coming out from that hardware and also we are going to get that. First thing. Second thing, so if you associate elastic IP address, a dedicated NIC card or that elastic IP address specifically allocated to the EC2 instance. But whenever you release, the EC2 instance is not going to have any elastic IP address. So what it will do, the DHCP option set, DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. That DHCP will look for the instances that don't have any public IP address. Then it is going to allocate a public IP address automatically. That is going to happen in backend. So that's why whenever you disassociate a elastic IP address, immediately a new public IP address is going to allocate. Why? Because only one setting. While launching this EC2 instance, if you don't select this option as a enable, it won't happen. Auto assign public IP address is there. If you set it to disable, yeah, you won't get any public IP address. As this auto assign public IP address is enabled, DHCP is going to allocate a public IP address automatically. Whether instance is when you disassociate elastic IP address, it automatically allocates.
So Avinash, this is the same concept as static IP and dynamic IP, right? Like DHCP only comes into picture with dynamic IP. Like if you are assigning static IP, it is the same thing as elastic IP, right?
Yes.
Okay. Also, one more question. For launching, right? Like we saw that like two methods. One was through the Git, and the other is through console, right?
Mhm.
Console or command prompt or terminal, right? So why do we have to rely on these things? Why is not there a user interface like from here itself to launch and test your site? Is there something like that?
First of all, Linux operating system don't support user interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
That to server classes won't support. Client classes, yes, you can take Ubuntu and you're going to have that. But that is also with additional packages, not from the official providers. You need to take GNOME or GNU, that like, home packages you need to install, third-party packages, then only you will get GUI. For Linux, we don't have GUI. First thing, as it is an open source, many guys developed their application. OpenSSH is a standard procedure.
Okay.
So PuTTY is a third-party application that use OpenSSH to get connected to it. PuTTY is not an official application, but PuTTY widely used one. So that's why I covered that. But standard protocol it uses is OpenSSH. So this OpenSSH, basically it uses SSH protocol to get connected to remote server. So that's why. And second thing, as it is open source, for example, you know how to use this SSH protocol. So what they did, for example, Mobile Xterm is there. They developed an application to get connected to your Linux instance, and they're making some money out of it. If you even have a thought, you can develop your own application. That's why, as it is an open source, many applications are there. Along with PuTTY, MITI also is there. So MITI tool. So that also you can use to get connected. If you look for PuTTY alternatives, you can find n number of the. So Kitty is there, Shell is there, MITI is there, Solar PuTTY is there, Mobile Xterm, n number of the tools. As it is just because of open source. Right?
Got it.
Today it uses OpenSSH protocol. That is important thing to understand here. Right. So make sure you terminate your resources, guys. So don't leave any resource in running state or stopped state. So that's it for today's session.
Avinash, just last thing, right? When you were talking about the free tier eligibility, you said 750 hours for Windows and 750 for Linux, right? So that is, can I use either one, or I can use altogether 1500 using both 750 for Windows and 750 for
You are going to get 750 for Windows, 750 for Linux. Total 1500 hours.
1500 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But out of that, if you try to use 1000 for only with Linux, it won't comes under free
It won't come. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
But Avinash, for the EC2 instance Windows, we can keep it run until this course completed, right? Like we can play with.
Why you need to? Or we are not running any mission critical application. We are not running any
I mean,
production
like stop
system that
state.
need to be always up and running.
Stop
So
state also it is consuming.
don't stop it. Get familiar with all the options. After a couple of more sessions, yeah, then you will come to know what feature and what exactly it is. At the time, you can keep it in stopped state. I'll tell you, I'm going to give a task. At that time, you need to stop the EC2 instance and you need to continue further. So till that time, please terminate and launch a new EC2 instance.
Okay, noted.
Yeah. All right. So see you again tomorrow, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day.